So welcome to our new moon, Sangha, for the new moon in Gemini. And we also have a solar eclipse today and Mercury doing a Cosmini, which we're going to talk about. So as we begin, I think what I'd like to do is let's take the Marjoram to begin. And let's just take a drop, and if you want to put it on your palm or trying a drop in your mouth. My friend Stacy, who you see her here or maybe not, we were talking about marjoram, and it's the oil of connection. So let me just share with you a little bit about this before we get in. And if you'd like, because we've been last cycle, we were working with celery seed and placing a drop under our tongue. And I think that marjoram is a useful oil to transition to right now in this way. And it's not one that I think we often use internally unless we're going to it really medicinally. And I think that that's really what this time is actually calling us to do. So here we go. All right. Welcome again. This is our new moon. And we're going to begin with marjoram here. So marjoram, if you'd like to take a drop under your tongue or put it in your hands, just inhaling. It says marjoram aids those who are unable to trust others or form meaningful relationships. This inability to trust often stems from harsh life experiences. These individuals develop a fear of close connection in relationships. They may tend towards reclusive behaviors, protecting themselves even further by abstaining from social interactions. They may also protect themselves by unconsciously sabotaging long-term relationships. Marjoram shows the barriers they have formed to protect themselves from others. It reveals patterns of aloofness, distancing oneself from other people, or being cold. Those in need of marjoram oil most likely use these protective coping strategies unintentionally. Deep down, they desire the intimate connection they subconsciously sabotage. Marjoram teaches that trust is the basis for all relationships. It assists an individual in increasing their warmth and trust in social situations. Marjoram softens the heart and heals passions. It kindles the fires of trust in relationships so that one may fully blossom. When an individual feels safe and loved, they express their authenticity more freely. Marjoram restores trust and openness so that true bonds of love may be formed in friendships and relationships. So I think another reason this oil is really appropriate for many of us right now is we are starting to connect and re-engage again with the outer world and in social settings. And we're starting to come back into these relationships that have had certain levels of trust issues, probably just given the pandemic and the lockdown and the fear that on some level has been a part of all of our lives the last year and a bit. So let's now, I want us to go now to patchouli. We're just going to weave these all together.
Okay.
So let's take patchouli, and I really love putting patchouli on our feet and placing this time around, I'm being really drawn to placing it in between the toes. So I'm going to show you literally in here. And specifically my big toe is where I'm placing the patchouli. And patchouli is the oil of physicality. And in this moment, and with this practice, allowing ourselves to place the patchouli in between the spaces of our toes. So really bringing the fingers into acknowledging the spaces between. And this is a theme. So taking your time and maybe even going all the way through and then coming all the way back again. So let's now just close our eyes, and I'm going to just read you from Chani Nicholas's astrology reading. And she drew the card, the Magician, for this solar eclipse in Gemini. And she says, this year, Gemini season's magic carpet ride is especially psychedelic. On June 10th at 3:53 a.m. Pacific time, the solar eclipse in Gemini occurs. The second and final eclipse in this sign brings a frenzied flurry of information our way. The first eclipse in Gemini occurred on November 30th, 2020. Whatever was brewing in the part of your chart that contained Gemini then is in some way related to what is unfolding for us now. Since this is the series finale, the lessons may be louder than the last round. Near the north node of the moon, this eclipse is all about increase, excess, hunger, and a desire for ever more knowledge. Communications become a commodity in high demand, and a variety of exchanges litter the menu of the day. Gemini isn't known for its discernment as much as it's known for its sheer delight in a dizzying array of downloads. With a million browsers open, 15 text chains in mid-sentence, and a plethora of proverbial pots on the stove, the twins are always down to play devil's advocate. Embodying the angel and the demon, the socialite and the recluse, the heroine and the villain, this sign moves to opposite ends of the spectrum as quickly as most of us inhale and exhale. Playing the scales of each possibility, Gemini has range. Squared by Neptune specifically, and Jupiter by whole sign in Pisces, this eclipse weakens the boundaries of our psychic space while offering us an opportunity to attune to information that usually lies just beyond our reach. On the same day as our luminary goes dark, retrograde Mercury, the ruler of this lunation, makes its inferior conjunction to the sun, known as a Cazimi. Mercury is propitiously placed in soul's heart and serves as a gilded guide and psychopomp. Get clear on the questions you want to ask. The oracle is in. Generally a good time to go dark in tandem with the luminaries. Eclipses reveal what we've relegated to the umbras of our personal and collective psyche. For most of us, listening to our intuition is like trying to hear a swallow song over a jackhammer. The world is loud, making a strong case for turning the volume of life down, cleansing from the media momentarily, and having an embargo on conversations that keep you in the rut of gossip spirals, toxic exchanges, and wasted breath. This eclipse in Cazimi wants your attunement. In exchange, they'll offer the insights of a lifetime. Tomorrow now, on June 11th, Mars enters Leo. It will be there in Leo until July 29th. Then Mars will stage fight its way through the part of your chart that contains this dramatic fire sign. Here, Mars flips a table, and against all odds, in the face of at least one major obstacle, it will help us to forge a path forward out of sheer determination. Because of this hefty and unpredictable work, be wary of overscheduling yourself come the end of June and beginning of July. No matter what part of your chart and life Mars is poking at while in Leo, we'll all feel this crunch. On June 13th, in just a few days, Venus will make a sextile to Uranus and the sun will square Neptune. Neither of these aspects will get you anywhere on time, if at all. This is not the kind of astrology that keeps us on schedule, but it is the kind that has us delighting in unusual treats and getting lost in our favorite bookstore. Forgo the fretting about getting it right and dissolve into the ecstasy of all the little loves of your life. So with that, would you please take peppermint, peppermint being the oil of the buoyant heart, and you can either just rub this in your hands, or I'm going to suggest we place it on the back of our neck. Partially just because it's very helpful in cooling us down. And being the oil of the buoyant heart, with considering what's going on, maybe even see if you can trace your whole spine. Maybe you even come up from down below then and bring your fingers all the way down to your sacrum. And maybe do that a few times, just tracing your spine all the way down as far as you can, allowing the buoyancy to sink into your whole central nervous system. Perhaps that ravenous nature of consuming so much can be cooled and pacified. If it's hot where you are, also just feeling your body start to cool off. Maybe noticing how the breeze on your skin feels now. And then can we please go to pettigreen? And if you don't have pettigreen, lavender is a good alternative. So pettigreen is known as the oil of ancestry. You're gonna have to go inside your shirt. Let's put this in our belly button. Hard to do if you're wearing a onesie maybe. So let's just take any finger. And again, if you want to rub it in your hands first and just inhale, by all means, take your time. And then rubbing the pettigreen, maybe even over your whole abdomen, but particularly in the belly button. And I wanted to read to you a little bit about pettigreen as well. Pettigreen sometimes is known as man lavender because it does have a lot of the same chemical properties, so it can be useful in that way. And interestingly, lavender is the oil of communication, so also really helpful for what's happening right now with Mercury. So if you're working with pettigreen, just allowing, or lavender, allowing your finger just to rest at the center of your belly button and just acknowledging this connection, this thread where you were connected to your mother. And if you are a mother yourself, where your children were connected to you. And if you're not a mother, even now connecting in with your creative power and anything that you are a mother of or are birthing. Maybe even allowing both hands to just cradle your whole stomach and abdomen. Pettigraiin invokes a deep appreciation for positive forms of ancestral knowledge, wisdom, and family history. All individuals carry a portion of their ancestors' lives and stories with them physically, emotionally, and through inherited traditions. Pettigraiin illuminates the eternal connection to all previous generations that weaves its way through the present generation and on to the next. It reminds individuals that it was by their ancestors' sacrifice they have the opportunity to experience this life. Pettigraiin invites individuals to choose to honor the good that was inherited from their family and also make the path lighter for those who follow. In this way, Pettigraiin is also a great aid in healing a complicated family history. It invites individuals to accept the humanness of their ancestors and seek to learn from their mistakes. Instead of avoiding the pain of the past, Pettigraiin encourages thoughtful awareness of how to heal wounds in the family line. It reveals patterns and tendencies of unconsciously repeating family mistakes. Individuals in need of Pettigraiin may be unable or unwilling to depart from their family ways of thinking. Instead, they follow in the footsteps of their predecessors and ancestral traditions, or they feel too bound to a family story they wish to disown and desire to disconnect from the reality of the previous generations. For either extreme, Pettigraiin invites healthy awareness and balance. It encourages those who view any departure from tradition as a betrayal of the family to release the fear of disapproval and forge the path that is right for them. It also reminds those who desire to disconnect from their family origins to be willing to see the positives of healthy family connection. Pettigraiin invites all to see the gift of their ancestral traditions and will assist them in their efforts to heal unfinished and unresolved ancestral issues. Pettigraiin reminds individuals that through accepting their ancestry, they can find peace, clarity, wisdom, and empathy for their own journey through this life. So, would you please now go to lime? Because lime is the oil for the zest for life. So with lime being a citrus oil, let's just take a drop in our palms and inhale a few times here. Throughout this cycle, I would even encourage you to use lime in your water. And now just when you're ready, just cleanse your whole aura, waving your arms all around you, all the way down to the ground, behind you, to your sides, to your diagonals. And then maybe, I always love with the citrus oils, just put it through your hair or just put anything that's left on the soles of your feet. So we're gonna go to Siberian Fur next. And Siberian fur, I'm gonna suggest that we just place on our, on our forehead. So Siberian fur is the oil of aging and perspective. And an astrologer named Sarah Varkas, who was shared with me by Yoni Zwartz, Sarah was sharing about the Mercury Kazemi, specifically, that's happening, is known as the divine mind. And with Siberian fur here at our third eye, maybe even just allowing your finger to just rest in the center of the forehead. You may be allowing the head to bow towards the heart. Just consider how right now we can rethink and re-examine our beliefs and our thought processes. Renewing and clearing at this new moon. And really taking this time to rise out of emotion that we've been really traveling through while we've been in Pisces, and allowing for wise discernment to come through as we reclaim our minds and learn how to speak your truth as best you can, even if it's really difficult. Knowing that you have a unique perspective, and that for those of us in this participation, we have the ability to forge a new path and to truly stand in this transition and in this space in between where two opposites simultaneously exist in their truth. And instead of division, we find unity. And specifically right now, this is very much about victim consciousness really coming to an end. This is very strongly in our psyche, but this is also what is being illuminated right now to truly step out of and release and to rewrite that story. So being your own authority, knowing that you are more powerful beyond measure. And know that you can do this completely out of love, with courage and with insight. And this wisdom is about learning to acknowledge predators, learning to recognize threats, and knowing how to respond. Staring into the mirror of love, seeing yourself as sovereign, resplendent, and free. Sovereign, resplendent, and free. And then our last oil is spearmint, which is the oil of confident speech. And I love to put this in my mouth, okay, if you want. And just to sit with that, it is very different than peppermint.
I'm puckering.
And it can make you pucker. But just sit with the spearmint for a moment. Spearmint is known as the lighter of the mints. Spearmint inspires clarity of thought and confident verbal expression. Individuals in need of spearmint may hide their thoughts, opinions, and ideas by holding their voices back. Spearmint encourages inner clarity about one's personal convictions and opinions. It then assists individuals in translating that inner clarity into words. Spearmint promotes confidence in expressing oneself verbally, especially when speaking in front of groups of people. It helps individuals create an effective stage presence by infusing them with confidence, and can also encourage individuals to take a public stand on behalf of their values and opinions. Spearmint can be a helpful remedy for those who struggle with communicating clearly for a wide range of reasons, from feeling scattered and inarticulate to stumbling over one's words. It assists individuals in becoming emotionally clear about what they want to say and then saying it. In short, spearmint can help individuals access their inner light and convey that light to the world with clarity and confidence. The last thing Sarah Varkas said after sovereign, resplendent, and free was, speak as bold can be. So on that note, I would like to end our official ceremony for now and the recording so that we'll have our private conversation. So if you do this practice every day for this cycle, I really do encourage you to connect with us, come live, tell us what happens, and just be here showing up. Thank you so much.